Welcome to the Penalty Kick Podcast. I'm the host, Mike Dio, and we got to get into it. This weekend was something. This weekend had a lot of excitement. This was the first time the public ever got to see San Diego FC play ever. And so I got a chance to watch it not only while it was happening, I also did a rerun the next day to rewatch the game and analyze it a little bit more in depth. So we will get into all of that, but we got to be real. You know, I only bring you the real. Mike Gio, I ain't never going to lie to you. We got to be honest. We did not look good. We did not look good. San Diego FC laid a little bit of an egg, and even though we went up early 1-0, I'd say we were still the worst off of the two teams in that first half, even after the goal or preceding the goal. Like, we did not look good. But you know who else did not look good over the weekend? The Kansas City Chiefs. Yes. And Drake, because after that K-Dot performance, game over. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. All right, getting way too excited, way too far off. I digress a little bit every now and then. But San Diego FC, we lost 3-1. And so I'm going to go into a little kind of game overview about just kind of what happened, when it happened, and then we'll start analyzing what went wrong more so than right, because there wasn't too many things that went right. So the first 15 minutes of the game, we looked absolutely atrocious. It felt like we didn't have much of the ball. I think we did have one opportunity kind of at goal. But other than that, for 15 minutes, we looked non-existent as a team. NYCFC dominated us. They killed us in the middle of the park, especially. Even though you might not be the best team, sometimes you can luck your way into a goal. You can hustle your way into a goal. So that's actually what we did. We did not look good, but we scored. So in the 19th minute, off of a short corner, we give the ball to Chucky on the left wing, and then he crosses it in to Paddy McNair. Paddy McNair gives a little header, puts it in the top left corner of the goal, and we are up 1-0, the first ever San Diego FC goal. If you watched the roster breakdown, I told you one of my favorite players and a person who I think has just amazing experience is Paddy McNair, played in the Premier League. And then obviously we have Chucky on the wing, who, you know, has a great international career coming from Napoli and PSV as well. So them two linking up is something that I see, you know, happening. Even though Paddy McNair is a little bit more of a defender, I can still see him on set plays being vicious just as he was there. And Paddy McNair came through like the rent was due, came through at the right time, made a perfect run, timed the run really, really well, and again, was able to slot it home with a header. But we didn't look good. Even though we were up 1-0, I can't say we deserved a goal by that moment in time, because again, everything was being played in our half of the field. We were mostly on defense the entire time. We did not deserve to be in this game as long as we were, to be honest, because shortly after the goal in the 19th minute, 9 minutes later, NYCFC scored a goal, and they scored a goal by attacking the middle of the field. They passed it from the back defense to the middle of the field, and then they passed the ball to the wing on the right side. The person on the wing crossed it in. It was a low cross, so the ball's kind of going on the ground. It goes all the way through the penalty box, penalty area, and there is a wide open NYCFC player at the back that just has to tap it in. And even worse, in the 39 minute, it was the exact same play, but on the other side of the field. So on the left side, going up the wing, NYCFC had the ball. They crossed it in low, and guess what? Another person was open on the backside of our defense for a tap-in. Then later in the second half, we looked a lot better in the second half, but we allowed another goal, a shot from outside the box. We did not press up as a defense. We did not pressure the ball. So it's kind of like a wide open shot, even though it was from a distance out. These are professional players. These are players that can make those shots from really long range. And guess what? NYCFC took advantage of that, shot a really, great ball in the, top left corner. Maybe our keeper should have done a little bit better, but wasn't able to get there. And now they're up 3-1. But in my notes, I actually wrote, they probably should have won like 5-1. we probably could have been down 3-4-1 just in the first half alone. We did not look good. We looked unorganized, undisciplined. We were going into tackles and like whiffing on those tackles. You just see people sliding by NYFC players that have the ball, and then NYCFC players are just running down the middle. Our middle was porous at best. It was like a leaky faucet that we could not stop. And that is a little bit worrisome. And it didn't look like a lot of the players were really giving 100% out there. That is harsh for me, because even though you might not be having great skill, you might be rusty, you might not have come together as a team quite yet, which I do think is indicative of this performance, you got to hustle. You got to give 100%. I don't care when you're playing, who you're playing, how you're playing. You give 100% each and every time you take the pitch. If you're a competitor, you don't like losing, and you give it all while you're out there. Yes, it is preseason, but I'm sorry, I don't want this to become a habit, because if you allow someone to not go hard in preseason, not take it seriously, what does that mean for the regular season? And if this is a warm-up for the regular season, we obviously need a lot of work. So let me get into a little bit of the issues of why we looked so bad. I think it's a couple things. One thing, and this was mentioned by the announcer in the game for the Coachella Valley Invitational, he stated that we were playing a 4-3-3, and I know that's one of the formations that Mikey Varas really likes. He also likes a 4-2-3-1, which I mentioned in a prior episode. I suggested that he go with a 4-2-3-1 because our weakest position is the center back or our middle defenders, but also just based off the player personnel we have, our players fit into that system a whole lot better. However, a 4-3-3 was obviously chosen, and one of the issues that I spoke about with a 4-3-3, there's a lot of space, and there could be a lot of space, especially if you're not already cohesive on defense, but it's a very attacking style. So if you push up too many people, or one of your midfielders misses a tackle, which we did quite a bit, especially in the first half, well, then you're exposed. And then now NYCFC goes straight down the middle. Easiest way to goal is a direct line through the middle, and we were allowing that. And then they would pass it to the outside when our defense would try to collapse in the middle because we're already out of position. Now we're out of position again. Now we're chasing ghosts. We're chasing shadows. And then they score on us, which they obviously did. And again, they could have scored more. Another thing is the 4-2-3-1 really allows you to cram the middle. Yes, you're a little bit more exposed on the wings, but the easiest place to score a goal is in the middle. It's harder to score from the angles. Obviously, you know, it's an issue if you can just run straight through. And I think that was a big problem. And so I was a little disappointed to see the 4-3-3, especially knowing that our player personnel, we have two really good center defensive midfielders. With the 4-2-3-1, you have four in the back, two center defensive midfielders, which we have two really good center defensive midfielders. I just think this suits our team better. Also, I think it's more pragmatic in the sense you're better defensive setup, and our weakest positions are in defense. So allow those center defensive midfielders to cover those center backs so we don't look so bad. Another big issue was the individuals we started. Luca Della Torre is top 3 on our team without a question. He can do a whole lot of things on the center midfielder area, center attacking midfielder, just has tons of experience, especially playing overseas. Just came from Celta Vigo, which is a Spanish Primera team. So, like, he's in a top league. He's played with the U.S. men's national team. He's been around, right? 26 years old. Like, he's in his prime. We started the youngster Alvarado Jr., but if you're trying to win, you play your best players. And again, to not have Luca Della Torre in the starting lineup, to me, is odd. I don't care if he's only been with the team for a week. You play your best players. So that was another issue that I really took offense to. But one thing was also weird. We played 4 attacking individuals. We played Ingvartsen up front, which I think he was non-existent during the game, but that's the right call. You played Chucky on the left, right call. You played Dreyer kind of on the right, but you also played Thomas Angel Those are 4 forward attacking players. So why would you have 4 attacking players on a 4-3-3 when the formation calls for 3 attacking players? We're not good on defense. So you stack the attacking, and it showed. It showed that we were having problems controlling the game. Another issue wasn't this ideology of allowing pressure and allowing teams to pressure us. You saw this a lot in the first half where we were passing the ball on the back line where the goalkeepers are, where the defenders are, and we're passing the ball around, allowing the other team to pressure us when we have the ball so it can open up space in the back. And I was totally right in understanding that that was the ideology, because kind of that's what Mikey Varas, and the Right to Dream Academy really are focused on. And I was also right that we looked really good on balls over the top. That was when we were the most dangerous, when we sent a ball over the top because we had a lot of space up front. But the problem is we don't per se exactly have the players to execute this strategy all too well. Our center backs are not good with the ball at their feet. So they get, a little nervous. Their passes aren't all that good, which then leads to turnovers, which we had a ton of, especially in that first half. But also our goalkeeper, you can tell he's uncomfortable with the ball at his feet, and that creates an issue. That means you're not going to be able to run that offense as effectively as you want to. So I actually think this strategy might be an issue that's going to bite us, that is going to haunt us, not only per se maybe in the preseason, but moving forward. And another thing is they actually changed that strategy a little bit in the second half. Instead of inviting pressure to us, we brought pressure forward. We played a lot of the first half in our own side of the pitch, near our goal. In the second half, we actually controlled the game a little bit more, and we were playing in their half and passing in their half. So we were pressuring them a little bit more forward. And we looked a lot better. We looked a lot better in the second half. I won't say we looked great, but we looked like an actual team. In the first half, we looked like we did not belong, which is a little worrisome, especially because we did play quite a bit of our starters. So why did we look better in the second half and not the first half, considering, again, we had the better players in the first half? So that is a little bit worrisome. The strategy is actually kind of a little bit worrisome as well, because I was trying to think about who really invites pressure, right? Who wants to just do balls over the top? Because the percentage of executing those passes, of those really, really long passes, even though they're professionals, even though they're awesome, even though, again, that's when we did kind of look a little bit better, the percentage of those passes aren't going to be all that great. You don't see over the top balls as much as you used to in the past. Now it's solid build-up play. It's about passing the ball from left to right, moving the defense, finding the spaces while you're putting the defense in their own half, because that makes pressure. That pressures them. So why are we always hanging out in our own half? Because now the other team is just closer to our goal as well, and we're closer to our goal, and it just doesn't seem like that was all that great of a strategy, but I think they're going to continue to go with it. Is this style sustainable? It's going to be interesting to see how this style works out, because I was not a fan, at least the way it was executed during the game over the weekend. But other than maybe Chucky and Patty McNair, just because of the goal, I'd say Alex Mighton looked probably the best. Alex Mighton hustled. Alex Mighton took players one-on-one. Alex Mighton went around players. I loved watching him play. He brought an intensity. He brought an enthusiasm. He brought a joy and a fervor to what he does on that pitch, where it showed. Alex Mighton, to me, stood out the most. Problem for Alex Mighton, he plays the same position as Chucky. So what does that mean for his playing time? So I'd love to see Alex Mighton out there, maybe get him on the other side of the wings. But Dreyer didn't have a great game. Ingvarsson had a really, really tough game. Our defense was in shambles most of the game. The middle of the pitch was probably the most concerning thing, because if you're able to control tempo, you're going to have a really good chance to win a game. And the midfield usually does that. And our midfield did not look good. Luca De La Torre, when he came in, he had some nice moves, so we'll give him that. We need to do a lot of work on this team. It is only, preseason, but you got to call a spade a spade. I do expect more from Mikey Varas. I actually put this performance more on Mikey Varas than anything. And you can give me every single excuse of, we've only been together for a couple weeks. We're still signing players. They just actually signed a new center back today, Willie. So, I think they know they need defensive help. But also, I don't think a 4-3-3 is actually sustainable until you maybe have all the right personnel to do it. Our personnel are not a 4-3-3 personnel. We're a 4-2-3-1, hands down. So I'm going to be more and more disappointed if we continue to play a 4-3-3 and we continue to see results like this, because I don't care about excuses. No one really does, right? That's not the way, the world works sometimes, especially when we're in business, especially when we're trying to do sports. You think the other team cares? No, they're trying to beat us. So we shouldn't care about these excuses, and we need to do a heck of a whole lot better if we're going to try to improve before the season. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens on Wednesday. This is Mike Gio with the Penalty Kick Podcast, and I'll see y'all next time.